I'd like to call to order the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners regular session meeting on February 15th, 2022. We have a full house tonight, and how exciting would it be if this room could be this full every county commissioner meeting, and the investment in our county, that people take an interest and want to show up and see what's going on and have a voice. So it's nice to look out and see young and old and welcome. We have lots to review tonight, but it is very nice to see this house full. So to get us started, I would like to ask Ms. Mary Hassel if she would lead us in our invocation. So if you would please bow your head.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you that you are good. Father, we thank you that you are ever present and you go before us and you lead us. Father, you make provision and you go with us through every storm, through every situation. Father, we pray that we continue to see the pandemic numbers lessen, that we get back to our normal living, Father, where fear and frustration and stress and anxiety aren't part of our everyday. Lord, we thank you that we have the opportunity to meet here tonight to go over the things that are before us, that we can do the right things, the good things for the people of our county. And Father, right now we just ask that you give us wisdom, you give us clarity, Father, and discernment to make those good decisions. And we just praise you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And if you are able, please stand with me as we pledge the allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, guys, we have to approve our agenda tonight. So I know we have all had an opportunity to take a look at this. So if oh no, that's not what I'm doing next. I'm so sorry. I just skipped over Rosa, and I was so excited about this seat that we have empty over here. So as you see, we have an empty seat that was vacated recently at the beginning of January. So we have an open commissioner seat. It is a Democrat seat, and the Democrat Party did very strenuous efforts to bring forward a nomination for that seat. And we, the County Commissioner Group, had the opportunity to meet with Ms. Rosa Little on Thursday of last week, have conversation with her. So tonight, Ms. Rosa Little is up for consideration for the appointment of the vacant County Commissioner seat. So with that, if we have a nomination to approve and appoint Rosa, let's move forward.
I make the nomination that we approve and go forward with Rosa Little.
Okay, so Commissioner Robinson has made the nomination. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hassel with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So with that said, Ms. Little, if you would come forward, and Mr. Deaton.
Up here so everybody can see you.
Yeah, everybody
Don't
got
wanna
to see you.
We will administer the oath of office. I'll give you a little cheat sheet here in case I mumble through something. If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. Do you have someone special you want to hold the Bible for you?
That's great.
My two granddaughters.
All right. If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rosa Little,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as County Commissioner.
as County Commissioner.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Rosa Little,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor to support,
and that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name,
I, Rosa Little,
do further swear
do further swear
that I will well and truly execute
that I will well and truly
the
execute
duties of the office
the duties of the office
of County Commissioner
of County Commissioner
for the County of Montgomery,
for the County of Montgomery,
according to the best of my skill
according to the best of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
according to law,
according to law.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One for you to keep and one for the clerk.
And if there is family here of Miss Little that would like to take a photo before we proceed, come forward, and that way you can get that done with her this evening. I know it's an exciting time, probably a little nervous time for her, but Amber, would you be willing to grab a photo of her with John out there too in just a second so we have it? So John, will you stand there real quick and let them get a photo with you in that picture where you swore her in real quick?
You bring all these tall people up here. I'm gonna have to move, man.
Go ahead, John, we'll still there. Stand up. Thank y'all. Thank you, John. All right. And Rosa, you're going to join us. Grab your stuff. Come on up. Yeah. Okay. I would like to be the first to officially welcome you as Commissioner Little. So welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You ready to roll up your sleeves? Because here it goes.
Okay.
Here it begins. Now, I'll let you get settled, and we will approve the agenda for the rest of the evening. So if I have a motion to approve the agenda,
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
all right, John makes a motion to approve. I need a second.
Second.
Mary makes a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the agenda is approved. We do have a consent agenda. We reviewed it Thursday evening. If there's any discussion points, anything that anybody has before we move forward with the consent agenda. If not, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Mary makes a motion. I need a second.
I second.
Okay, with a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. So next I have the honor to welcome Miss Chrissy Haynes. She is here with a large group from Youth Leadership Montgomery that are going to make a presentation this evening. And Chrissy, you can, of course, educate everyone what even that is.
I
Youth
appreciate
leadership.
the opportunity
We
to
are
do
so glad you're here.
Thank you. This is the 24th year of Youth Leadership Montgomery. Youth Leadership Montgomery is sponsored by North Carolina Cooperative Extension, Montgomery County Center, which is a county partnership with the state, NC State University, North Carolina A&T State University. So we thank you for your support of our programs for cooperative extension. So this is our 24th class of Youth Leadership Montgomery. We have 15 youth. We did keep our numbers small this year because of COVID when we started out. I want to share just a little bit of history about youth leadership. How many of you, each of you, have gone through the Adult Leadership Montgomery program? No, not yet? No, not yet?
Not yet.
No? No? Wow. Okay. Usually most people in the commission have. So that'll be definitely something you need to put on your bucket list for next year to go through the adult program. I usually try to send one of my staff members through every year if we have a new face in our office, because it's a great way to learn about the history of the county and other, about businesses and opportunities and things that it's really neat. It's a neat program to go through. Our youth leadership program is kind of semi-structured around similarly to the adult leadership, because when youth leadership was started in 1998, Judy Stevens was the economic development coordinator for the county, and she partnered with 4-H to sponsor Youth Leadership Montgomery. Since we've not had, since Judy's retirement, I've kind of done that program on my own through 4-H in the county. But we really, really enjoy this program. It's for 9th through 12th graders, and all you have to be is a resident of Montgomery County. Doesn't matter where you go to school. We have kids who are homeschooled. We have Greystone Day School. We have Montgomery County Early College, and now Montgomery Central. And we've had UR Charter Academy students. As long as they're a resident of Montgomery County and they're in grades 9 through 12, they can register to be a part of the program. So we do kind of put priority on 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, but we have some 9th graders in the room too. I'll go around and let them introduce themselves in a few minutes, but I want to share the history. Since 1998, when we had our first youth leadership program, 427 young people have graduated through the classes of youth leadership. In order to be involved in youth leadership, students must be dedicated and must contribute many hours outside of school time to the program. They have to be signed off on by multiple teachers, pastors, people in the community who believe in them and see them as a leader and see their potential as a leader. They must be self-motivated and have a desire to learn more about the community in which they live, work, and play. The objectives that we hope that students will get out of youth leadership are, number one, to understand how decisions are made in the county. So just like tonight, they're here learning how we make decisions on the county level. They also go to a school board meeting and learn how decisions are made there locally as well. Yesterday, we had our Tour of Undiscovered Places Day, and one of our stops was in the town of Candor at Blake's Restaurant, and we had our mayor of Candor talk to us, and then our past mayor of Biscoe, Jimmy Blake, of course. He always enjoys speaking to young people. So both of those men were very willing to talk about small towns and how their government is handled locally. Number two is to understand the value of community service. So they have to do a day of community service on their own. And then on Martin Luther King Day, which we postponed to March the 11th because of COVID and where we were on the spike. And we're seeing that level off now, which is great. And so March 11th, they have a day out of school, so we will be doing a day on instead of a day off, and we'll be meal packaging that will stay here locally, that was donated dollars here locally, and we hope to keep that food that we package here to go into backpack pals for Montgomery County School students, as well as our local food pantries. So they learn about community service and giving back to the community and how important that is. That's a huge part of 4-H, and we're all about hands to service and giving back. Number three, to increase your knowledge of leadership basics. So the whole program is centered around leadership. You'll see them with their notebooks tonight. So adult leadership does not have a notebook to complete, but youth leadership does. So they have assignments that they have to complete, and in order to graduate in May, it is a year-long program. So we start them out in October, and they go through May. We meet several times a month throughout the entirety of it. So. To gain a better understanding of a possible career and the skills needed to excel in that career. They spend a day shadowing somebody in a potential career opportunity or interest that they have. Number five, to learn how to work with adults to make a difference in their community. That's a big part of 4-H and Cooperative Extension and what we do. It's called Youth and Adult Partnerships. So our clubs have a volunteer leader that's an adult, and we believe in adults leading young people, and so Youth and Adult Partnerships. Number six, to become more familiar with the county in hopes that some of you will come back to work here and live here after they go to college or go to the military or whatever their paths are for life. We hope that they will then come back and be contributing citizens to Montgomery County. I think that's about all that I had to share with you guys. I do want to give them the opportunity to go around and introduce themselves, tell you where they go to school, what grade they're in, and maybe anything else they want to share. If there's something they want to share with you, if you guys have questions for me or for them, feel free. Would you guys stand up? And speak loud enough. I won't make you come up front, but if you'll just go around and share your name, your grade, and the school that you go to.
My name is Edwina Carrillo. I'm a sophomore at Montgomery Central.
My name's Riley Allman, and I'm a junior at Montgomery County Early College.
My name's Lulia Adams, and I'm a senior at Montgomery Community Early College.
My name is Gochia Mandy Lee, and I'm also a senior at the Early College. My name is Melody DeBray, and I'm a junior at Central. My name is Blossom Yang. I'm a junior at Montgomery County Early College. My name is Carson Prince, and I'm a junior at Greystone Day School. My name is Reagan, and I'm a senior at Montgomery County Early College. My name is April Adams, and I'm a freshman at Montgomery County Early College. My name is Brianna Beck. I'm a sophomore at Montgomery Central.
My name is Donovan Strickland. I'm a freshman and I'm homeschooled. My name is Tucker Dunham. I'm a freshman and I'm homeschooled.
My name is Jalen Eford. I'm a senior at the Early College.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
I guess my one question, and anybody can ask it, or more than one, is what has been your favorite part? So far, you still have some months left to go, but so far in what you've covered, either what's your favorite or what's been your biggest aha moment about Montgomery County so far that you've learned?
Well, yesterday we started our tour of Undiscovered Places going to Star Wars and Star, and we saw the different people creating their artworks, and then I learned that a lot of people from out of the country and out of state come to just start in that specific place to hone and create their art crafts, which was really shocking to me because I never knew that we had so many different people come.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's a wonderful asset in the county, and a lot of people won't be aware of that, so that's great. Anything else anybody else wants to share? Yeah?
Yesterday at the tour of Undiscovered Places in Montgomery County, we went to the Troy Roller Mill,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize how much history was in Montgomery County that is overlooked and untold throughout just the USA.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And just a little blurb for other people that's in here. It's not open on a regular basis, but if you reach out to Dave Wilkie, he'll gladly unlock it and take you through and show you all of that. It's really good.
We could listen to him all day yesterday.
I know. He is truly an advocate of Montgomery County history.
Yes, ma'am.
So any questions? Anybody else? Well, we appreciate you bringing the group
Thank you.
tonight.
If you ask them that at the end of the entire program, maybe some of you can come to graduation when we have that in May.
Mhm.
But if you ask them that, because we always do a post survey. We still have our legislative day where we go to Raleigh and visit with our legislators on our agenda, and they usually really enjoy that day as well as Martin Luther King Challenge. So we'll do that in a couple of weeks. And we're going to add this year Ag Day. So we're going to join the adult leadership. We've never joined the adult leadership Montgomery program for a day with the youth, but we're going to join in on the Ag Day because we help plan that. So I'm excited to add that to their agenda this year.
Well, I think that's a great day. Yeah, addition.
Thank you so much
Well,
for having
we
us.
appreciate you bringing it. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program and graduate in May from it. All right. All right. Next is public forum, and I do believe it looks like, Frankie, we have a whole bunch of people that are signed up for public forum, so I am going to let our manager, Mr. Manus, share what the guidelines are for our public forum, and then I will start calling some names.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, I should say. The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing members of the public to comment on county business or items on the Board of Commissioners' agenda. This period shall not serve as a forum for debate with the Board of Commissioners. Remarks shall be addressed directly to the board and not to staff, the audience, or the media. The chairman shall open the public comment period. Any person who wishes to speak shall approach the podium and announce his or her name and physical address prior to making comment. Any citizen desiring to comment on a matter of public interest within the authority of the Board of Commissioners to legislate in an open forum shall be allotted 3 minutes. Citizens may yield their time on a specific topic by utilizing no more than 2 citizens' time slots. This will allow up to, but no more than 9 minutes. The county manager shall notify the chairman upon the expiration of the allotted time.
All right, so the first name that I have on the list is Mr. Kelly, if you'll come forward. Good evening.
Kelly Kellum, 210 McCaskill Street, or R.L. Kellum Street, Bisco. Lifelong resident, 4 generations. Appreciate everybody being here. You know, I've spent right much time with you guys in the last week, and just like to go over the highlights again. There's some new, there's some new things that we're looking at, but as of July 23, I wouldn't have been interested in purchasing the East Montgomery High School property. That date, my brother and I, we sold a business that we've had for generations, and it suddenly put me without a home base. So I've had a good friend of mine pestering me about the East Montgomery High School property. And I said, well, I'm not interested. And the more he talked, the more I got interested. And I think he had talked to Mary, and I had called and talked to Frankie, and it looked like that, that we could certainly make an offer on it. And so, as you guys know, I've made an offer on the property that's $100,000 more than the state has offered, which I think is substantial. And as I started to look, certainly I've got to fund this property. Nobody can have something like that with no funding. So I have a storage business in Bisco, and I've looked to expand it. I've looked to get into climate control. So I've looked, and I feel like I can finance the property with the climate control. But then the further I got into it, I realized that we're losing a big part of what the east side has with our auditorium, our cafeteria, the Bluegrass Festival that Star has is they're having a hard time trying to find somewhere to be. And so I've extended an invitation to them to let that be their home. The Boy Scouts hadn't got a home anymore if the property sold to the state because they do their Pinewood Derby there. And so I've extended that to them as well. We're even looking into micro businesses in the auto shops and stuff, and this continues to develop. So I've got a strong plan, and I've sent you guys the plan, and I think I've got a strong plan to make it go forward. But what really got me really fired up about wanting it is I don't really want a state training ground in between our middle school, our elementary school. We have a personal family cemetery. Southside Baptist Church has the property that they're looking at doing some youth programs in the summer. We just don't really need that in that residential environment. We don't need the gunfire and whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's probably close to a military exercise when you look at trying to do that. And I am all for them to train. I have been a opponent of we helped buy the first drug dog in Bisco, me and my wife, and we're all about law enforcement. We know we have to have it, but they have thousands of acres down at Samarkand, and that's where their headquarters is at. And so I just feel like that's where they need to go, and I'm all for them. I'll help them, but I feel like East Montgomery High School needs to be preserved for the citizens of Montgomery County. and I don't say East Montgomery because she got me on that one, but it's for the whole county. But it is for the good of the East Montgomery area. And I feel like we can promote that high school. I intend to have it where when you drive in, you think you're driving into East Montgomery High School. Now, down in the back, yes, I'm going to do some industrial stuff, but you'll think you're at East Montgomery High School. I want to preserve that for our county and our county residents. And, you know, it's in my heart because I've just been appointed the chair of the Save the Old Bisco School, and that's where I went to first and second grade. So I want to save these schools if the public at large seems, that they care about them, and, I want to have the public a place to go, and we just don't have anywhere. And so that's probably about all my time, right? All right, well, he's probably let me run over. But anyway, I urge you guys to look in your heart, let God guide you, and hold the vote up on the state, and let me start the process to buy that property. And I promise you I will do right. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Kelly. All right, we have Adam Garner.
Members of the board, good evening. As you'll see on my paper where I signed in, there is not an address on there, and I'll tell you why. I'm not a Montgomery County resident. I'm a former employee of Montgomery County Schools. Lifelong, I have been involved in Montgomery County. I live right over the line in Moore County. I'd say 90% of my commerce is involved in Montgomery County. I own a landscape business. Majority of my suppliers is based in Montgomery County. I hold a very special spot in my heart for this county. It was my first job out of college. I had big shoes to fill, and some of you may know him. I took Tony Sedbury's place when he retired from being the ag teacher at East Montgomery High School. And he was a mentor to me in my beginning in teaching, and further in life he still is. And there's another man here tonight that's been a big mentor to me too, as well, in my business life and life in general, and that was the gentleman that just spoke. That's Kelly Keller. When he mentioned it to me about this project, light bulbs went off in my head, and I said, you know what, it's a lot of opportunity for a lot of Montgomery County residents with this. Like I said, I was an ag teacher. I was Montgomery County Schools Teacher of the Year in 2013. There was a lot of people better suited for that title than me. But as you'll see right now, I'll just speak my mind, and a lot of kids respected me for that, and I understood those kids. And those kids that I taught, just like Mary's husband taught, they have gone to work in this county. And I never judged myself on the type of teacher I was based on some test score that the state sent down. I based on seeing some kid that didn't have any thought that they would make some of their self supporting their family now when I run into them in this county. When Kelly told me of his plan and spoke to me of the micro businesses, I want to tell you, my heart almost dropped, because I got thinking, you know what? There it was, the automotive shop, my ag shop, the cabinet shop, the masonry shop, a lot of usable area, a lot of large square footage that a lot of business could be held in. And you don't know what it would mean to me to see one of my former students or one of Sean's former students or Quint Dunlap's or who else ever to come in and make their living in the building they started it in. To me, that would be a full circle deal for this county to say, look, it's been my life, and I'm making my living here. And I think he has got some great plans with it. And like I said, yes, I'm no citizen of this county, but it holds a special place in my heart. I'm really proud of Kelly for making this step to preserve it, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, East Montgomery, I may have been green and gold growing up at Northmore, but I'm blue and white. I mean, it means a lot to me at that school. And to just have the thought of still being able to pull in, even though normally about 7 o'clock of the morning when I used to pull in there, I wasn't too happy to pull in there, then, but, it's nice to pull in there and see it still there. And I would love to see it for this community to have it, just like he said with events as well, just for reminiscent purposes, it would be great for that. And of course, there's business agenda behind it. That's business, but you know, the thought that it could still be there for the community to have access to use for certain events and see it, you know, it means a lot. And the young lady that Chrissy had that spoke first, she hit the nail on the head. That was the first thing that she said when she said they went to Starworks and saw all the talent that was there and all the businesses. You know, kind of what Kelly is talking about is kind of the same agenda Starworks on, giving an area for a certain person with their job and their skill to have an area to work. And I think it's a great idea. And I think it could be used at that property, and it'd be great for it, you know, already set up, plenty of area. And I think it's well worth considering his offer. As far as it goes for me, like I said, that place will always be special to me. And for someone to want to step in and keep that place available for the community would really mean a lot to me as well. Guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. We appreciate it. Audrey Richardson?
I have to write things down.
You go right ahead.
First, I'm going to say, I put an address on there. That's my sister's address.
Can you say it for the record? We have to capture it by our person.
Oh,
Your
okay.
name and your
The
address.
my name is Audrey Richardson. The address that you have is 130 Monroe Street, Star, and that is the address of my sister. And I come to you on behalf of the Star Women's Club in support of Kelly Kellum's purchase of the building. Like I said,
Ms.
I'm here.
Richardson, may I ask, where do you live?
I actually live in Ellerby, North Carolina. However, I am a member of the Star Women's
Okay,
Club.
thank you.
Like I said, I'm here on behalf of the Star Women's Club, the Star Halcyon Women's Club. The Star Halcyon Women's Club has been a part of Star for over 80 years. It's a service group, and over the years, it's taken the responsibility of activities that have helped to preserve the heritage of Montgomery County, and particularly Star. We sponsor the Star Christmas Parade as well as Miss Merry Christmas Pageant. The longest running event that we sponsor is, he alluded to, the Star Fiddlers Convention. Montgomery County and surrounding counties was settled primarily by Scottish and Irish, and the Fiddlers Convention is a nod to the heritage to that heritage. So the Star Fiddlers Convention has been an annual event for 95 years. It was organized by Mr. C.V. Richardson, and it was first held at the Star High School. It remained at the Star High School until it was torn down in the early 1980s. At that time, it was moved to East Montgomery High School, and it's been held there since then. When the club became aware that Montgomery Central was being built, we began our hunt for a new location for the Star Fiddlers Convention. We've toured other locations, we've been in other buildings, we've looked around, and we've even considered an outdoor venue. We have struggled to find a suitable location that would provide the facilities we need that is also an affordable location for the convention. Nothing that we have looked at or that we have considered has given us the whole package that we've enjoyed at East Montgomery High School. The Fiddlers Convention is not a money-making proposition for the Women's Club, but preserving the heritage of our community is at the heart of our existence. We serve the community, we work to preserve our history, and assist anyone in the community that's looking to also preserve our history. We were heartened to hear that someone in the community was hoping to buy the facility with the intentions of making it available for community use. We believe that with the right ownership, it has the potential to be a great asset, and like you said, not just to the citizens of the east side of the county, but to the whole county as well as surrounding counties. The purchase of East Montgomery High School by Mr. Kellum would serve a dual purpose. The facility would remain an ideal location for the Fiddlers Convention and the history it entails, and preserves the East Montgomery facility that has a little history of its own for the citizens that it has served for over 40 years. So as I said, I'm here on behalf of the Star Women's Club, and the club is in full support of Mr. Kellum's purchase of this property. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Johnson, Greg Johnson. Hello, sir. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm Greg Johnson. The address is 143 Griffin Farm Road, Biscoe. I'm here to give my opinion on Kelly purchasing the East Montgomery property. As we all know, Montgomery County is a low wealth county. A lot of our potential tax base is tied up in the national forest. And I just can't see any reason why we would want to sell this property to the state and give up that potential tax income from that property. I don't see any benefit to the county for the state to have that property, because I feel like the first thing that'll happen will be a big fence will go up around it, and it will be off limits to everybody in this county. I think if Kelly was to get the property, I think there could, like he said, there could be some industrial growth there, which is good for the county. And the property would have, people will be able to make use of the property, and the county can realize some property tax income from that property. And that's just about all I've got to say.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Mr. Reynolds, Eddie Reynolds. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening. Eddie Reynolds, 311 Church Street, Biscoe, North Carolina, Mayor of Biscoe. The East Montgomery property, the whole idea with this, that possibly becoming a training center, active shooter training center, first come up around 2018 when I think Jimmy Blake was still mayor. And that was an idea that come up to try to keep East Montgomery from being torn down. Mr. Bowles was contacted, or my town manager, Brandon Holland, and they come together and sought a plan, and Representative Bowles come up with a plan, you know, and for whatever reason, the information had all disappeared. When it was found out that the state was interested in East Montgomery, and the plan they come forth with was not presented to some of the commissioners. East Montgomery went from being worth nothing at that time to when the state found out that when the county commissioners or the county manager, whatever, found out that East Montgomery was for sale and the state was interested in it, it went from being a piece of coal to a diamond. And then it was thought, well, we're going to turn it into an industrial site. That was in the paper. The railroad was going to buy it. They were going to be having whatever kind of material, hazardous material, fuel. That was not a problem to any of the citizens at the time when it was in the paper. Nobody was concerned about it being a industrial site between two schools. The new board come on, and the information was turned over to them, and then it was looked at again. Mr. Bowles came to Biscoe and told us the plan and what they thought, you know, it would be a good facility. They want it to be to train personnel if there is a school shooting. Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's a reality now. It's happening all over the United States. It happened in North Carolina at least twice last year. It's a reality that we have to face. People are going into schools and shooting. This will be the first training facility of its kind in North Carolina and the United States. From the plans that Mr. Bowles and the state has presented, I think it would be a good idea. And at the time, it was going to save East Montgomery High School. The buildings will still be there. It will be state funded, and it will be there for a while. And, you know, at the time, like I said, it was a good plan. Nobody had any problems with it, and then all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, it's come up. And I think Kelly's plan, I think he's sincere. But I think that, like I said, what the state presented and what it can mean to Biscoe, it's going to bring more people into Biscoe, which will possibly mean the possibility of a motel, restaurants. It will be growth for Biscoe. And as far as the shooting, I think it will be a controlled environment. I don't think there'll be any shooting on Sundays. And possibly it's going to save a child's life sometime. That's what it's to be for, is to hopefully save children in a school shooting. And I just, you know, I think it would be a positive. And I thank you for your time and let me speak.
Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it. Ms. Ford, Erica Ford. Hello there.
Hello, my name is Erica Ford, and y'all have been up here talking about school, so it's my turn. West Montgomery High School, I am interested in purchasing it. In conjunction with Montgomery County Community College, we have plans to try to turn it into Ford Transportation and Dispatch Academy. We have a shortage of truck drivers in the nation now, and they are on strike in Canada. I currently own an insurance company, and I own Ford Transportation and Dispatch. With West Montgomery, my intentions are to collaborate with MCC, and I've already been in talks with them with other locations, and we had possibly looked at something in Candor, but West Montgomery has the most potential, as well as the parking lot and the space. We haven't came up with an offer yet because it has to be appraised, but I did want to come and meet you guys and let you know who I am. I am Erica Ford, and my intentions, in conjunction with MCC, we're going to do transportation training, from getting your CDL A's to be a commercial motor vehicle driver, as well as dispatching for those drivers, and dispatching for your 911, because the dispatching systems that we have are really close to the 911 systems that are used currently. I've been talking to Andrew Gardner at MCC, and MCC does know that I'm putting them in there with me.
This is news.
The president knows as well, and I just wanted to come and meet you guys and let you know that we're trying to save West Montgomery as well, and I do have a meeting with Jordan Lumber and Mohawk, because they are both in need of CDL drivers, and the school being utilized as for transportation and dispatch academy will also help MCC, because we're going to discount. My company has already agreed to let MCC send their students at a discounted rate because we're in county. And when it comes down to MCC receiving funding from the state and federal level, if they go in and have a program that they're in conjunction with, it allows MCC to receive more federal funds. It helps me and it helps them. But just a little bit about myself. I do have property here in Montgomery County on Parkertown Road, and I don't know the side road, but I do own property up here, and my grandfather is from here, and a lot of my family's here as well. I see that there is a absolute need to change some of the dynamics when it comes to getting a job. The Federal Motor Vehicle has changed the policies on commercial drivers. You can become a commercial driver and drive outside of the state now. It just came into effect on the 7th of February. So an 18-year-old can leave school with a high school diploma here in Montgomery County and go into a permanent career with the proper training. And then once we have graduations, Jordan Lumber, Mohawk, and other companies in the surrounding areas can come in to graduation and actually offer them jobs. I already have partnerships with Landstar and other trucking companies that they're willing to come in to offer them positions. It's not guaranteed. That's absolutely illegal, but they will have a job fair the day that they graduate. They have an opportunity. So just wanted you guys to know me.
Well, thank you.
And you'll see me a lot more later.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Ford. And
Oh.
obviously, have you met our county manager?
He was in a meeting when I was here with Savannah.
Okay, good. Well, wonderful. That's news to us, so that's exciting.
And SBA is behind me in this, as well as MCC. So we're prepared to go ahead and start the process of getting an evaluation of West Montgomery and just seeing where we need to go next, so that I have the proper funding to run the facility, the upkeep, and honestly changing a lot of things here, because once we open the school, we have to have, as he said, we have to have other places for these people to stay. So hotels and other industries will come in because you have a training facility, and in Asheboro right now, the waiting list is a year.
Wow.
So if you had this here, a lot of people want to come at the schools here, they're going to follow it. And CDLs are really important.
Yes.
So, thank you for your
Ms. Ford.
time.
Thank you, Ms. Ford.
Nice to meet you. Mr. Hogan, Jimmy Hogan. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
Y'all like to excuse me the way I look, 'cause I just got to the house and I come right
Hey,
on.
it's all good.
Yeah, I'm a logger, so I've been working all day. And I'd like to say I'm here tonight to support my friend Kelly Keller for wanting to purchase East Montgomery High School property. And I'm the friend that told him about it, you know, 'cause I talked to Miss Mary over there about it now. She's the one that told me it was for sale now, you know, so we went ahead from there and talked more about it. And like I said, he sold his company. And so he, from there, he went and looked at it and he was interested in it now, and I don't blame him. In fact, I told Mary this, if my wife had went and signed a financial statement, I'd have bought it. But she wouldn't do it, so Kelly can, you know. But I think it's a good move for him. I understand what Mr. Reynolds said, you know, the mayor. But like I said, I'm in the logging business, and we, San McCann down there's over 1,800 acres of land down there. We've cut a bunch of it. Along with the government, the state has a lot of land, a lot of different places, to where they got plenty of land to do things like that with, especially down there. And it's a dead end road in there, it goes into it, and there's another road goes around behind it too. But along with the West Montgomery campus over, a great big campus over, it's like it over there, and there's nothing down there like we're talking about with residential stuff like that. And I can sit on my front porch just about throw a rock on East Montgomery over there. I'll sit over many a night and listen to the ball game play by play. And I just like I bought a ticket and went over there, but I could hear everything, you know, what school was playing the whole 9 yards. I'm just saying, you know, anything can go wrong. I mean, we seen that in Fort Hood, didn't we? You know, people got killed out there in the military. And any type of law enforcement is a type of military thing. And those books go a long way, along with Green Ridge right there, this other side of my house right behind it, joins this property. They people walk out there all night long sometime right there, you know, exercising. There's a trail around that thing. And these kids walk around there after school hours and all. Along with the junior high school there. I got 2 grandkids that went to school there and all. And had 3 kids graduated there at East Montgomery, and I grew up right across the road. I got a property about 20-something acres across the road over at Tobacco Stick Farm, there's a peninsula and that. And I got a lot of neighbors all around there, and if I went and took a survey and brought them over here, you know, people writing their names down saying they approve for this sale to be sold to the law enforcement agencies, whatever they're going to do with it now, I can tell you it'd be about 9-1 against it. And so, I mean, saying that people don't have a say in it right now, it's just we here at the mercy of y'all to understand what we're talking about, the fact of how the safety would be. Along with, you know, the school, I grew up there, like I said, I used to set rabbit boxes on that land when I was a little boy. I was born the 3rd day of 1949. And they started construction on that in 59. They built that school. And I was a big part of the school over there. I've been over all ranch, all water oak trees around there. Whole sycamore where the thing wouldn't grow no grass over there because of the white flint rock stuff. And my friend Cecil Reynolds lived right over where the Tobacco Stick Farm that man. I worked with him, and we went over there and we worked on our stuff over there, equipment stuff, because I got a big shop back there at home. And went to basically every ball game was ever played over our home game. And my kids played over at Karen, one of them back there now, and Sharon, and the oldest girl, Tracy, she played over there. But it's about like home to you, you know what I'm saying? So I'd hate to see it get torn down. Well, Kelly's talking about, you know, preserving it and keep it just like it is, East Montgomery, and I like that. And I think enough stuff has been torn down to the point that it breaks people's heart to see how the county has been torn down like that and all. And that's a landmark thing. It's like Bisco High School. And it's still standing there. I go by, think about it every time I ever went to school there, okay? Every day. And when I was going there, I hated it. Then when they told me I couldn't come back no more, I went to crying then. But I missed it. But I'm saying, you know, it's something that I'd hate to see getting torn down. And I could go over and say everything these guys done said, and I had it in my mind to do it, but they done told it all. But I'm here to support him buying it. And like I said, I would myself, I got my wife went along with it and all.
Well,
I wouldn't have changed a whole lot about it either.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hogan, time is up, but we appreciate
Yeah,
you
let me
coming
say,
and
let me
speaking
say
up.
two more things right
Okay,
quick.
real quick.
Yeah, the Fiddlers Convention, like the lady said there, it's the home, but I used to go up to the store and they had that there. That's a big part of East Montgomery and that side of the county over. In fact, there's probably more people from other side of the county here come to the Fiddlers Convention than there over there. Along with, like I said, you know, the new auditorium they built out there, there's a church group out there right now, it's having church out there, and there's potential out there for all kinds of church functions out there, revivals and everything else, where everything in the county probably gets saved, you know, preaching out there. So I'd hate to see it get torn down. And I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
coming. And then last but not least, we have Karen Hogan. How are you?
Hey, it's probably not left much that he's already said, hasn't already said. My name's Karen, 199 Spring Drive. I just recently got married, so I moved from there, but I still have property down there. I graduated from East Montgomery High School, lifelong resident there. I'm in defense of Kelly Kellum. You know, my mom and dad, they still live. We live on the other side of Southside Baptist Church. I attend Southside Baptist Church. Our family's got, my grandmother, we lived across the road from East Montgomery, and my dad still owns all that land down there, and we do. And to be honest with you, and a lot of things that Mr. Reynolds said, I personally don't see where, you know, having something like that would coming in would, you know, bring it, and just because of a motel, would bring any kind of, there's other things that would bring in more attraction to the town of Bisco, I think, personally. And just me, as far as being an employee of the federal government, with a school being there, elementary school behind it, like my dad said, a middle school beside of it, and like my dad said, we go up to their school up there and walk all the time at Green Ridge on Sundays. There's a lot of people that walks up there, a lot of people up there. And especially and on my church, Southside, where I've always went there all my life, I don't feel safe personally knowing it. And I haven't seen a lot of information in the paper as far as explaining what all this is going to be done. So I personally don't appreciate anything being done and sold without letting the citizens more being aware of what's been going on. And I would feel better of letting it being used more for the town, actually on the east side of the county, and for the town of Bisco. And Mr. Kellum, I know him personally, he's a great guy, and I know what he says he'll do, he will do. And so I just personally like to defend him and say that I think it would be the best interest of the people if we would put the sale off and at least, you know, entertain the thought, pray over it, think about the county citizens instead of just looking at it for the county, because I know that the counties, there'll be some grants and things, but it's not going to help the citizens of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Your time is Hogan. Anybody else that is not listed on this sheet? That's the last name on here. Mr. Hayer, come forward. Yes, sir.
How y'all doing tonight?
We're good.
Good to see you. My name's Steve Hare. I live 996 Mount Carmel Church Road. Two things. One, I don't know Mr. Kellum, ever had a conversation with him, but I watched his business. He's strong. He knows what he's doing, and he has the money. I watched that too. And then the second thing is, these kids over here, they were talking about history. That school is history, isn't it? I won't do that. But anyway, that's the two things I have to say. If Mr. Kellum says he can do it, I'm sure the state can do it also, but I'd like to see it preserved. I'm into preserving.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Hayer. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Sold. All righty. Yes? And then we're capping it off. Yes, sir. Welcome. If you'll state your name and your address, please.
John Lee Hogan, 231 Dover Street in Stark.
John Hogan, thank you, sir.
I was born and raised here in this county, 1956. And as a kid coming up, I went to Star School up there. And as I got old enough to go to work, the people that surrounded me at that time was Bobby Mark, Mr. Kellum's father, Mr. Russell and all them. Them's the people, if you stop and think, them's the people from that point of time right there, your families, my families, grew up because them people there supported us jobs in this county. And I went to East Montgomery, and I got a lot of friends down there, colored and white. I grew up with them. I played football with them. And to me, Mr. Kellum made a good point. If we don't keep that school there in this county, instead of letting the state come in, making it a military base there. Now, I understand what that mayor back there said, that's true. Things will happen. There ain't nothing we can stop it. But there's so much land that's around us. And by letting them come in there like that right there, with all them other schools around that area there, for my opinion, I think it's wrong. I support Mr. Keller all the way, just like I did Mr. Russell, Bobby Mark. They are the pillars of our community. Your families and your families, they wouldn't have had jobs if it hadn't been for people like that right there. A young man asked me here last month ago, he said, Johnny, I want to ask you a question. He said, what do you think about Mr. Russell? Bobby Mark and them right there. And the first thing come to my mind, when I was a young boy, I didn't think nothing about it. As I got older, I realized, not only my family, but other families here in the community, that these people here put into this county. And I think it's a shame that we're losing our heritage. Now, I'm just one voice here in the committee up here tonight. Y'all may not think nothing of it, but I would truly hope and pray to God that y'all make the right decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. All right, I'd like to say thank you for everybody that spoke tonight. Again, I wish we could have this room full, this full, every night we have a county commissioner meeting, because there are times we sit here and conduct the business of the county and there's nobody out there except employees that work for the county. So I wish people would get more involved on a regular basis, because it does take the community, to work together. So thank y'all for being here tonight. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to our county manager. He's got his county manager's report, and we do have some topics that we are discussing this evening.
Yes,
and so, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the coattails of much of the public forum discussion, the first item on my report for action is to consider a resolution accepting the offer and authorizing the conveyance of East Montgomery High School property to the state of North Carolina. This would be the last legislative action required to effectuate a sale to the state. As some of you know, and most of our board knows, that the state is proposing a training center for safer schools. I will spare my knowledge of the proposal. I believe there are some representatives from the state here, if you would rather hear from them.
That would be good.
That's
Mr. Bowles?
entirely up to you guys.
You guys, if you would mind coming addressing the board, and I know we've had much opportunity over the last year plus to have conversation around this, but we do have new board members that are present, and if you could, share with the group some detail and introduce the folks that are with you.
Okay, first of all, thank you for being here and thank you for serving. This is a very thankless job, as it is in Raleigh as well. But I thank you all for your time and your commitment to serve. And Miss Little, we're going to pray for you tonight. So you stepped into a hornet's nest. But with that said, I'd like to introduce Gerald Sewell, which is the Deputy Director at Samarkand out there now. And also we have Brent Culberson, which is with the SBI, in which will be moving part of their staff out there as well. The answer, just to clear up a couple of comments that were made, there will be no live fire whatsoever on that campus. All the live fire is done over at Samarkand under a secured barbed wire fence and security of even entering the facility. So there is never any live fire whatsoever. Samarkand does not have thousands of acres. There are 430 acres at Samarkand, and as you all know, it was a juvenile detention center, and it closed up in 10, and then since 2010, 12, there's been, the state of North Carolina has invested over $27 million in converting it into a training facility, and currently we have right at, I think, 40 FTEs or along there.
30.
30 full-time employees that work there. The third, we are not looking to tear any building down. Matter of fact, the appropriations that have been passed, like you said, this has been going on since 2018 when we first started with the former manager and commissioners. It was determined at that time of what our intents were and for us to go and get the money. So in this past year, the budget that was passed and signed by the governor allotted $4.1 million for the purchase and the renovation of the facilities. And also the purchase equipment to teach with. The first year, which is non-recurring money, which was an infusion of buying assets, was $2 million. And then in the 22-23 biennial budget, there is $2.2 million that is recurring that will go to that campus every year with 24 FTEs. That's to supplement the maintenance and the full-time employees. These are not employees that are coming out of Raleigh. These are employees that will be generated here locally. Raleigh will send their own, as far as department heads or training departments, but in addition to what will be hired locally. These are local employees. That's just DPS portion of it. Also on that campus will be Department of Public Instructions that will teach the safety to our school administrators, our principals, our teachers, our social workers. This is not just for law enforcement officers. This is for the gamma of the whole school administration. The first year, the state gave $2 million to DPI for them to bring in what equipment they needed as far as instructional equipment. And then in the second biennial is a $1.7 million recurring every year thereafter to support DPI, Department of Public Instructions. Total, we're looking over $9 million initially. It's already been approved by the governor of this state. We have Mr. Brent Culberson here from the SBI. They're looking to bring their beta training here, which is the behavioral threat assessments. This is not for SRO officers. This is for administrators. This is for social workers of identifying students before any actions happen. We have the community college here with Montgomery. We have the State Community College that has supported this. 20 miles from here, the state of North Carolina is also building a $35 million fire training academy at Baden at the North Carolina Air Base over here. So if you look around, we're at the center of the state, and we're investing in training and public safety for our citizens. And this is a component that we do not have for our children. But we're going to have Samarkand, we're going to have Montgomery, we're going to have Stanley, fire, schools, law enforcement, all within 20 miles of here with the investment of 35, 27, a lot of money. And it's going to be right here centered in the state of North Carolina. There's nothing more I can say. We've been talking for many years, and we hope that we can move forward. I understand entrepreneurs. I do understand entrepreneurs. But we also are going to have recurring dollars in there. Somebody had mentioned, well, I won't be able to go on the campus. At Samarkand, we have visitors of former employees and former, those that we were in custody of, that make an appointment and they come out, and Mr. Sewell here will let them walk the campus and do what they like to do. It's like any high school today. You just can't walk on the properties without permission and an appointment. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I answered any of your questions. I hope I did. I'll be glad to answer or attempt to, or these gentlemen here as well. But it's just not for law enforcement officers. It's for the total school. And
I think that's the part that when we went through this process that I think resonated most with me is it's one thing to have first responders show up from a law enforcement standpoint, but how do you train and educate school personnel? Because they are the first line of defense.
Right.
They are the ones that have to be there to comfort the students, protect the students, and there's not a training facility that does that level of work. So that was I guess the component that I went, wow, you know, how do we, because unfortunately our world is declining quickly. So,
it's concerning.
Yes, it is.
It's concerning. And like the beta, we're so excited about it that we've appropriated 8 beta agents for the whole region, and most of them will be stationed here. But that's through the Secret Service that they train, and that's how they identify bad actors today.
Yeah.
And if we can stop it beforehand, you know, we want to be in front of the news, not part of the news. Mm-hmm. And I've got grandchildren, and I'm very passionate about this. And this would be the first in the nation. And you're talking about creating, yes, it will create tourism as far as stays overnight, restaurants, gas. It does benefit the community.
Any questions from you guys?
And I do understand as far as there's a process at Samarkand by which to schedule for appointment. And I can only assume that process would continue on a new campus. As you can hear from the statements earlier, there is a specific event regarding the Star Fiddlers Convention, so that to that measure. Would there be any recourse for the community to be able to petition in advance to your administration for use of specifically the gymnasium or the auditorium on a scheduled basis well in advance to understand that it would not interfere with your training schedule?
I cannot answer that, but I could probably say that I think that it would probably not be possible. I'm not going to lie to you. The auditorium will be just imagine that you brought your school system in, and you put your social workers, principals, teachers in a classroom in one part of the campus, and the other staff are going to be in the auditorium observing and taking notes of what happened. So the electronics, as far as video, all that that's what that auditorium will be set up for. And then after the scenario is ran, everybody gathers back, you replay, and then you learn and take notes and learn from what we've seen. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. So, I mean, the whole campus will be, monitored so that everybody knows where everything's at. And the same event, you don't know when an active shooter comes on the school. Does he go to the classroom or does he go to the gymnasium? So the gymnasium will be, with cameras and everything. And I mean, it's just training of the whole campus so it becomes a reality. But if somebody wanted to come and they wanted to walk through the main building, by an appointment, to look at the classroom where they used to attend school, I think we will accommodate that as we do at Samarkand now.
And from my research into the proposal, you will establish the interior of the school as a layout as an active school.
That's correct.
And it's also my understanding currently, as the school has transitioned from the school board to the county, that's not the case at this point in time. So at this point in time, I don't think it'd be very nostalgic to walk through East Montgomery. So I would assume that in itself would be a positive as far as the fact that you are going to reestablish the classrooms, the cafeteria, in a manner by which it looks like an active school.
I can say this, let me say this politely. We were kind of disappointed when they took all the desks out. I mean, they just stripped, when they went through, they stripped everything out. Yes, we need desks, we need chairs, we need chalkboards, we need everything to put the class back together. We need office administration desk. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And yes, we need a cafeteria because initially we will have to bring lunch over from Samarkand to feed, whereas we're looking at some of the renovations that we can put a cafeteria there and they won't have to have a possibly cold meal or a sandwich.
Any other questions?
I have one. When you say social workers, are you talking just about school social workers?
Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering if there was possible opportunity for DSS social workers. They have in-service training. They always have to go out.
This would be under DPI's instruction.
Okay.
Where they talk to instruct, because they have an instruction where they talk to their social workers of how to handle situations and all. And this would just be a next level.
Okay.
Right.
School, yeah, public. Okay. All right. Anything else? We appreciate you guys coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you guys need to share, or you're good?
I think Representative Bowles did a great job covering everything. I'd just like to add again about the prevention component. And again, we're going to train in response to an emergency situation. There will be no impact to the adjoining communities. But the big component there that we bring along with the beta team is the threat assessment, is being able to identify that threat before it happens. And that's something, again, that you can't put a value on. And as these young people appeared here before us tonight, and I heard the word investment, there's no greater investment. And not only for it to be right here in Montgomery County, for this to be centered, but as Mayor Reynolds stated, the first in North Carolina and the first in the nation. So we're very excited about it, that we're going to bring something very good to the community. There's not going to be any military style training activity. There's not going to be any live fire exercises. But there's going to be so much involved that we feel that it's going to resonate throughout all communities of North Carolina, provide a safer environment for our students and all the staff that are there. So thank you for your time.
Would you mind sharing real quickly with the board about the simulation and the fact that you even have the ability that things, you know, a particular school, we could do a simulation for Montgomery Central or Mount Gilead Elementary School, that you can physically in your simulation lab that will be built on that property, teach people how to protect within their own school environment. I don't know all the lingo, but so you can.
Yes, ma'am, and I can elaborate on that. We have the capabilities where we'll be able to go to these individual schools and conduct video, still photography, and you put it into a video scenario simulation, where if I'm working at a school in Mount Gilead as a school resource officer, or if I'm an educator there, that I could participate in this emergency drill on this simulated platform. And it's like I'm at my school conducting that training. You can't put a value on that, where we'll be able to go around to these different schools, conduct the video simulation, bring it back to our 300-degree, 5-screen firearms training simulator. And again, there's no live rounds. It's a firearms training center, like a large video game. But it's in a serious component and brings another level of training to the officers or other people who would go through the training. So that's a very unique feature about being able to customize with different settings throughout different school environments.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, Mr. Bowles, one other thing, just to clarify, because you mentioned kind of partners, working with the community college. So my understanding is that, yes, there'll be full-time employees that are on the facility, as well as anything, you know, heads that come in from Raleigh. But then there's an opportunity from a training standpoint that there could be local trainers that are ran through, or somehow that things can operate through the community college that will also give them funding.
That's correct.
So how that partnership works?
So not only do we have to train school resource officers, but if there is an actual shooting anywhere, which we hope there aren't, you're going to have EMS and fire coming. So they've got to be part of the training.
Yeah.
They've got to know when they get to the school, they just can't run into the school. So, you know, and the community college will be responsible for that.
Okay.
And with Montgomery County Community College.
Right.
And I'd also like to say, I'm not sure if you hear, but Representative Moss, Ben Moss has been part of this, and Senator Steve Jarvis.
And we actually have a letter from,
Okay.
Senator Jarvis that he sent today
Right.
supporting this project. So I think all of you guys have that on your, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not, I just want to take it away, it's not just SROs.
Right.
It's everybody, it's the community that will be, you got parents that are going to be going, so you've got to learn, where do you take the parents?
Yeah, there's much.
So, yeah, and I think,
so just really quick, you guys are extremely familiar with how difficult government can become when you've got each silo has its own agenda, it has its own set of problems, it has its own complexities that disallow it from operating within this other silo. The goal that this accomplishes is that a school nurse, a school guidance counselor, a school psychologist, a principal, an assistant principal, the school threat assessment team, the SRO, in every association that is connected with every one of those that I just mentioned, come together in this environment without their silos. Everyone will go to their own conferences and symposiums all through the year, but the most meaningful thing that they will ever do is step onto that campus together. We even have the PTA represented.
Yeah.
So the North Carolina PTA Association has supported what we're doing. So the parents will have a voice.
Right.
Everybody will have a voice. You tell me where we find that anywhere in government.
That's why we are so excited about it. That's why we have asked for behavioral threat assessment agents to be able to come in and assist where we can these school systems who, Montgomery County may be, we've seen all the spectrum. They may be way ahead of this game. But I've gone to school districts who say, threat assessment team, tell me what you mean about that. And that causes me to gasp, because every school ought to have a school threat assessment team. They ought to have a unified group of people. So I'll close just with saying, all of those people that I mentioned no longer operate in their silos. They operate on a real campus with real people, real actors, by the way, students, participants, all of that.
Thank you all. I know you
Thank you.
traveled in
Thank
to be
you
here this
for
evening.
your
We
time.
appreciate it. And
And good luck there, Ms. Lewis.
Miss Little, he's telling you good luck.
Thank you, thank you. Y'all be safe.
She did get thrown into the deep end tonight, that is for sure.
Sure.
Any comment, any questions, any conversation around this topic?
I would like to make at least a closing statement regarding it. My father was the principal of East Montgomery High School for over a decade. The house on the hill I grew up in. The stewardship of East and West Montgomery High School, I find myself in this position very honored and blessed to be able to have a voice in this. If I had my druthers, it would be our local population being able to steward these properties forward. As far as the concerns with proximity, I live on Page Street in Troy. MCC has a fantastic gunsmithing course by which has a full rifle range and now pistol range within a quarter mile of my house. Page Street Elementary School, Montgomery Community College, the new high school all operate in even closer proximity than to, now that we know, a not live fire training simulator there. The heritage of that building being preserved by the state with the amount of funds that they've put into the budget and reoccurring funds means that as a county, we know that we are transitioning this and stewarding it to somebody who is going to keep it intact. We do know that Mr. Kellum definitely can do the same thing. It's not that it's a question of can or can't. It's just that we have a plan in place with the state that allows us the knowledge that moving forward, it would literally take an act of Congress to change the program that the state intends to start at East Montgomery. I would love to be able to see the schools transitioned into a manner by which we could multiplex it to the point by which it impacts different portions of the community. That is a fantastic idea. We are literally at the moment by which to vote whether or not to accept the state's offer or not. We do not have a substantial amount of time to discuss the two, and therefore it comes down to a situation here tonight. I would say that regardless of the outcome, as a county commissioner, I will vest my time to ensure that if East Montgomery is not where the Star Fiddlers Convention is, that I will do everything that I can to source in this community how it is we find somewhere else for the Star Fiddler Convention.
Yes.
I will. If there is a program in this county that's benefiting the citizenship, we should be able to come together as a community and find that answer. It is an interesting concept that Ms. Ford came to us with regarding driver training at West Montgomery, which is something that I was completely unaware of. Which is interesting that you find things out like this in a manner by which is, almost shocking. So lots to discuss regarding the method, and otherwise everybody here has the right to vote. And that's what we came here tonight to do. Thank you all for coming. And I hope that our efforts in some way prove that we are doing our due diligence to serve you as your representatives.
And I'd like to say I'm also an East Montgomery graduate, and I have lots of wonderful memories of my time there. And all four of my children graduated from East Montgomery. I think I've been to every home football game for the last 25 years because my husband drags me. But all of my memories that I have are surrounded by the people I made them with. They're not necessarily in the structures or the property, but it's the people that we do things that matter with. East Montgomery and West Montgomery have a long legacy of educating and generating world changers, and here we are. We have students who have graduated, and they've gone literally all over the world to make a life, and they have a heritage here in Bisco and at West Montgomery, East Montgomery. Now we can continue this legacy in world changers where we can save lives. It's not potential. We will save lives with this program of training the school systems. In the spring of 2019, my youngest son was a student at UNC Charlotte. April 30th in the afternoon, I get a call with a very terrified, excited young man saying, "Mom, I'm not there. I'm okay. Mom, I'm not there. I'm okay." And I didn't know what he was talking about. But every single day, he was within 20 yards of where the shooting took place studying. They were having an end of semester celebration, and there was a baseball game. If you know my youngest son, and he can be anywhere near a baseball field at any time, it's where he is. Had it not been for the baseball game, he would have been very close proximity to that shooting that took 2 lives and injured 4 more. And I dealt with the trauma of my son personally from a school shooting. This is something our nation needs. And I'm so excited to be a part of helping bring that here to Montgomery County so that we can save more students. So with that, I move we approve the resolution accepting the offer and authorizing the conveyance of the East Montgomery High School property to the state of North Carolina.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the conveyance of the East Montgomery High School property. I will need a second on that to move forward.
I second.
So we have the motion from Commissioner Hassel and the second from Commissioner Robinson. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so with that, tonight we are announcing that we will move forward with the sale and conveyance of East Montgomery to the state to move forward with that project. We appreciate everyone that's here tonight, and there is definite opportunity at West. So hopefully this community can come together with as much fervor behind that project. This project has been in the works for a very long time, and we have done such good due diligence to determine the benefit to this county, and I appreciate the board working collaboratively. I also appreciate everyone that came here and spoke this evening. So thank you. Mr. Manager, you have another topic on our agenda this evening in your staff report.
I do. I have one more item for your consideration, and that would be to authorize staff, with myself, county attorney, and the clerk to enter into a grant agreement with the North Carolina Railroad Company for their Build Ready Sites program. Briefly, this past August, the county, in partnership with Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western Railway, applied to North Carolina Railroad Company for a grant for their program that would assist us in site development for future industrial uses. The grant is $500,000 towards site development. And like I said, we have partnership with Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western Railway, and have identified a site next to their corporate headquarters in Candor that would be suitable. It's approximately 60 acres. The estimate for site development is almost $1.6 million, and we are seeking additional financial assistance to make that site shovel ready. The grant from the North Carolina Railroad Company would go a long ways towards that. We have been notified we are finalists in the grant program. However, an indication of our seriousness is required before they will make a final decision and any announcements. And the execution of a grant agreement or the intention to enter into a grant agreement is required before we will know for sure we are awarded the funds.
All right, any questions for Mr. Manus? I think we all understand what this is, so to move forward, I will need a motion.
I move we authorize the county manager, county attorney, the clerk of the board to enter into a grant agreement with the North Carolina Railroad for their Build Ready site program.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Robinson. I do need a second.
A second.
Ms. Little, did you second?
Yes, ma'am.
So Commissioner Little with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so motion carried. Thank you very much. Anything
That's all
else
I
on
have,
your?
Madam Chair.
That's all you have. Anything that we guys have on our plate tonight you'd like to bring up or speak about? Commissioner Little, did you enjoy your first night?
Yes, I did.
Well, good.
Thus far.
Good. Hopefully, we'll have lots of interesting stuff to work on collaboratively over the next coming months. So if that is it and no conversation or anything to share this evening, I think we've had a full night. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you guys for being here. And with that, I will adjourn this. Well, I guess I need to take a motion to adjourn. I can't just adjourn it. I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Hassel, motion to adjourn. I need a
Second.
second by Commissioner Little. All in favor?
Aye.